giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Oh, yeah. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live, presented by Boston Scientific. We stream it live on YouTube and on Facebook. And, of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! What's up, good people? Coming up today, take a short break. Just a short break from our RTD series. And we're going to talk about the Cowboys covering their bases. They seem to do this every single post-draft, usually as we head into training camp or we get to training camp. But I got a couple personnel moves, options. Let me say that. Options that the Cowboys could make to cover their bases and make and improve their roster. Plus, in the roundup, Dak Prescott talks more about Brandon Cooks, and he mentions a part about Brandon Cooks' game, or, you know, a part of what Brandon Cooks is that's just as important as his skill on the field. And this undrafted free agent spotlight, could this be the Rudy story? Could this be the underdog story that is similar to a previous underdog story that came out of the Cowboys years ago as an undrafted free agent? So we'll get into all of that and more. And, of course, if you want to call in, you can. 351-999-3787 is the call-in line. What's good? Bomb Squad.
Bomb Squad!
Yes, indeedy, baby. We already got Toxic Tom dropping the super chat of all super chats this morning.
Super chat.
He said, Lonnie Walker, Reading, PA native, clutch. Who was that said the Lakers didn't have a shot in here a number of weeks ago? Where's my guy Foots the King at, huh? Up 3-1 against the defending champions. I tried to told you. I tried to told you that the Lakers were definitely a viable option to take this whole thing down. But hey, you know, we just talk football here, so I'll leave it at that, man. But shout out to the Laker gang. Laker show is out there killing it. So one more game, Western Conference Finals. I might have to go over there. I might have to go to LA or something. We'll see. We'll see how it goes down. But what's good, squad? How y'all doing? Danny says, I'm already watching 2024 draft stuff.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you.
We don't care. We don't care, Danny. I don't care about your 2024 day 3 sleeper, Danny. You know, go start the YouTube channel. I told you, bro. There's people that really do care about 2024 day 3 sleepers, but not here, not right now. We talking Dallas Cowboys, okay? Love you, Danny. Clippers of the North. Who? What you talking about? Job is not finished. You're absolutely right. Shout out to Kobe Bryant. We ain't celebrating, but we is up 3-1 against Golden State Warriors, so I'm going to feel a little good. I'm going to talk a little bit. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? All right, let's get into this roundup, and let's talk about some options coming out of this roundup for the Cowboys, all right? Here we go.
It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time. It's time.
It is time for.
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Oh, they do it. Hey, oh, they do it.
Hey, yo. Dak Prescott was asked about Brandon Cooks again. And this time, he's had some time to work with Brandon Cooks, not just kind of one throwing session, but he's been out there. And he said, quote, the moment that guy showed up, just watching him in workouts, now he carries himself from drill to drill. What he does pre-workout and post-workout to take care of his body, to have that speed. When you throw it to him, it stands out. His speed is different from many others. He's already been helping CD, helping the young guys, playing cornerback to teach them the little nuances. Where's Vach's drop? of route running is going to be huge for me and huge for the room. Y'all, look, I'm trying not to get too crazy about this. And I had a hot take a couple weeks ago where I was just, it was one of my real hot takes right there. Like, that was a hot take, saying that Brandon Cooks could surpass Cooper's best year in Dallas. Sure. But I'm almost willing, and maybe I gotta wait to camp, wait till we see them get more rapport. But I'm almost willing to say Brandon Cooks will be a bigger help for this version of Dak Prescott than any addition. And that's not a knock on Coop, because Coop was massive for Dak at that time. But what I mean is, Dak is not year 3 Dak Prescott. This is 7 years in Dak Prescott. I've been through a lot more. I'm a better player, mentally, physically, whatever. And now I'm adding this type of player to the situation. I'm adding a guy who, from a skill set standpoint, I have not had yet. Every time you talk to this dude, you just continue to hear the word about Cooks. You just continue to hear him say speed. He can't help himself. It just shows up different. It feels different. It looks different. The speed is real. I think there was something about having this speed on this team that is going to unlock not just Dak, but what he said about CeeDee Lamb. Now, when you lost T.Y. Hilton, and I know y'all see him on the thumbnail, when you lost T.Y. Hilton, you lost that veteran in the room. And I'm going to keep on saying it because that stuff is real. Having a veteran who's been around the block, been to the mountaintop in one way, shape, or form in that room helps that room. We saw what it meant to have T.Y. in here for a cup of coffee, as Law would say. How he was able to help CeeDee Lamb with the nuances of the game. Now you're getting Brandon Cooks, a full offseason, full workout program with CeeDee Lamb. Think about that for a second. CeeDee Lamb last year came into camp. It was Michael Gallup, wasn't out there. It was Jalen Tolbert, Simi Fehoko, Dennis Houston, James Washington, who got hurt. Who the hell was CeeDee Lamb learning from in that room? So this Cooks edition, I think, is going to be so damn good, man, for everyone. Exactly what Dak Prescott said. It's going to be huge for me, and it's going to be huge for the room. Oh, mind you, doesn't hurt to have a Michael Gallup who's back now healthy, and he can learn a thing or two from Brandon Cooks as well. So I think he's going to help all these young guys in that room and elevate that room to where that's to be determined. But I'm loving this pickup more and more as we hear about these guys. And once we see them, the hype is going to go through the roof. Today's undrafted free agent spotlight. Wait a minute before I go there. I happen to look over, and I don't normally look over too much, but listen, brother, what does that mean? Cooks ain't Cooper? Because I'm not going to shit on Cooper. Cooper was my guy. I think Cooper was fantastic. But I think you might want to go take a look at Brandon Cooks' career, brother. I think you might want to go take a look at Brandon Cooks' career. This ain't no slouch you're talking about here. This is quite literally, since he's been in the league, a top 10 production wide receiver. That's all I'm saying. So I don't know what that quite means. He ain't Cooper. But he don't got to be exactly what Cooper is from a player standpoint. But he damn sure can have a Cooper effect on this team. And I'll leave it at that one there. UDFA spotlight. Wide receiver David Durden. Out of West Florida. Goes 6'1", 204. Super senior. He's going to be 25 years old when the season starts. We got a joke over on Vacha's show. Coach David Durden, because he looked like a coach. Athletic dude, ran a 4.45 at his pro day. 10.7 in the broad jump. 37-inch vertical. Super productive at West Florida. He transferred from Mercer. But at West Florida, he had over 1,900 yards, 23 touchdowns in 2 seasons, and only had 3 drops. As the draft wrapped up, apparently the Cowboys reached out to him immediately, which is a surprise to him because they showed no interest prior to that. And this is what Cowboys scouting director said about David Durden. We gave David some good money, but I think the pitch really was this guy's ability to play inside and outside, and then the return value and special teams value. You're going to have a chance to compete here. And this is what David Durden said about going undrafted. I've never really needed a lot of motivation to want to play the game of football, but this would just add that much more to it to go out there and prove, hey, you didn't pick me. And here's Dane Brugler, his overall outlook on Durden. He says he will need to prove he can match up versus NFL speed and strength, but he has the athletic profile and instincts to earn an NFL roster spot in camp. His value on special teams could give him the edge. By the way, that's another returner we're adding to the room. Just saying. Durden's highlights, look, they're fun. I'm not going to act like I got West Florida all 22 yet. I don't. If I get my hands on it, we'll watch a few games and we'll take a look at them in the non-highlight plays. But he got some fun highlights. But like Dane Brugler said, it'll be about proving can he match up against NFL speed and strength and competition as opposed to Division II competition. That's really what it's about. But he has the athletic makeup. 6'1", 204 pounds, 4'4", got the explosiveness. Not the longest arms in the world, but hey, we've seen this underdog story before here with another short receiver out of SMU, Cole Beasley. Now, I'm not saying I say another short receiver. He's not short, but another undrafted receiver who, wasn't expected to make the team, made the roster, and ended up having a solid career in Dallas. Can David Durden be that guy? And as we talked about with all these receivers, whether it be Cropper, whether it be, the drafted fella, Brooks, they have an opportunity. After the top three, a role is not guaranteed for any of these dudes. A roster spot might be for Tolbert, but a role is not guaranteed. So last year, the competition was nerve-wracking because it was like, man, yeah, there's going to be competition for wide receiver too, but it ain't a fun one because none of these dudes are like that. This year, we're not talking about who's competing for wide receiver 2, who's competing for wide receiver 3. We're talking about who's competing for 4, 5, and potentially 6. That's fun. When I don't got to worry about my top 3 and I can watch the competition below that, that's fun and less nerve-wracking. Throw David Durden's name in the hat this camp. Actually, this weekend, which I'll probably do a versus battle later on this week. We'll see. So that is today's undrafted free agent spotlight. David Durden out of West Florida. ITT Tech. Now, West Florida. What we got to say here about David? Has anybody does anyone really know this Durden character outside of the highlights? Like, some people say, hey man, I grew up in boom, 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 and I've seen this guy play, et cetera, et cetera. Has anybody in here watched him play at Mercer? Have they watched him play at West Florida? Do they have any other insight other than the highlights? Like, the highlights are fun, but if we just looked at everybody's highlights, everybody would be drafted, everybody would be a Pro Bowler, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just curious, has anyone seen the Durden kid outside of that? Zach believes we need to bring in another receiver to compete with Michael Gallup. Yeah, I agree, Danny. Usually you'll get what, 2 or 3 undrafted dudes, right? That make the team. I agree with that. It's going to be tougher this year. I think the roster is a bit more tight, but I think they'll definitely get a few more. Sure. Professor O said, well, did he play at West Florida? Yes, he played at West Florida. He's from Georgia, but he played at West Florida. I have no other film on him other than highlights, but he's a guy that's kind of gaining some kind of Rudy type of popularity, like everyone's rooting for this kid. I'm rooting for all these guys, especially since there's competition outside that top 3 to me. So I can't wait to see the Croppers, the Durdens. I think they got a Temple kid. All these guys get an opportunity to go out there and shine to make this team. Come on, Dan. Y'all killing these dudes, man. Y'all killing these dudes. He definitely does, King. He definitely does. All right, look. Let's turn the page from David Durden. We'll be seeing more about him this weekend. The rookie minicamp begins, I believe, Friday. What's the day? The 9th? Friday or Saturday. So we'll get a lot of information on these rookies coming out of this weekend and coming in here on Monday. But I want to turn the page to the rest of the roster, kind of covering our bases. We're not going to do our State of the Union yet. But when you look at the rest of the roster, my goal was to figure out where can the Cowboys cover their bases, because they do this every year. Under Mike McCarthy, it's almost an annual thing. They'll add a proven veteran around camp, during camp, or towards the end of camp to a specific position group, a position group that may need that help, a position group that didn't prove themselves in rookie minicamp or at the start of training camp. If you go back and look into history, in 2020, it was Everson Griffin. They wanted to add depth there. Didn't work out. Mike Nolan, he ended up getting traded and actually was pretty decent in Detroit that year. 2021, it was Malik Hooker. He was added like kind of at the start of training camp, and he's still here. He got an extra contract, so that worked out really well. 2022, it was Anthony Barr, and then it was Jason Peters at the end of camp when Tyron Smith got hurt. So this process that they have, right? It's, hey, let's see rookie minicamp. Let's see what happens in mandatory minicamp. Maybe let's even see what happens at the start of training camp. But they got their eyes on these veterans out there. You know, Catboy likes to say it's a 365-day process. I tend to disagree. He doesn't think, I don't think he believes that. But they've got their process, and that is one of their processes, right? Let's see how these young guys develop. Let's see if there's any injuries we got to deal with. Then we'll hit the free agent market. But that doesn't mean they're not looking now. I know they're looking now, so let's look now ourselves. Because the odds are they're likely to add somebody. The odds are somebody gets dinged up. Maybe a room doesn't quite add up, and the Cowboys go calling. So I wanted to look around, and I know I had T.Y. Hilton there. Again, y'all know how I get sometimes. I throw you off. T.Y. Hilton is not one of the three players that I'm going to feature today. He's not. Maybe because I think they feel set at the position. Maybe because if you're going to be wide receiver 4 on this team, you have to play special teams. And you could say, well, Sky, I think he could beat out Michael Gallup. Right, maybe he can. But Michael Gallup's not going to play special teams. You know what I mean? So whoever that fourth guy is probably going to have to do some form of special teams. And I don't know if that's going to be T.Y. Plus, T.Y. is probably going to wait for somebody to get hurt for another team, come in late camp, maybe during the season, and rinse and repeat that whole process. So I don't have T.Y. Hilton here. But I couldn't help myself with this other position, man. And we're talking about guard. I can't let it go. I can't sit here and act like they don't need the help at guard. And the name that we're going to talk about today is a name that we've brought up a few times in passing, but we'll detail it a little bit more today. And that's Trey Turner, who was a 9-year pro and played with Washington last year. And doing some digging on Trey Turner, it wasn't like he got to Washington and just was the guy right away. Seemed like he might have been in, I don't want to say doghouse, but Ron Rivera I don't think he's really been rubbing a lot of people the right way in Washington like he might have been in Carolina, which I think it's safe to say he might be a bit overrated. Anyway, if you go look at his resume, it's not all that great. Nonetheless, Trey Turner, a 5-time Pro Bowler from 2015 to 2019 with Carolina, been in the league for a while, and one of those veterans at a position that the Cowboys are extremely thin at. I feel very safe in saying they are extremely thin at guard. All right. He goes 6'3", 330 pounds. So he's another one of those big bodies. The difference from a guy like Chuma Edoga. And when we're talking about covering bases, This is definitely that position. If it's one thing that Dallas should have learned under Mike McCarthy, is that expecting this line to stay one all year is wishful thinking, especially if you're relying on the Tyron Smith. It's wishful thinking. Since he's been here, he's dealt with mass injuries at the line. 2020, we know how that went. 2021, Tyron Smith in and out lineup. Lyle Collins in and out lineup. Connor Williams, bench, not bench. He didn't have a solid foundation of a line from 1 to 17. 2022, we know how that went. Tyron Smith in and out of the lineup. Jason Peters in and out of the lineup. Terrence Steele gets hurt. Tyler Biotic gets hurt. There shouldn't be an arrogance going into this season at that position. Really, in general, the whole entire line, but specifically on the interior. I can't look at the guard spot and pretend it can't use another man. Right now, it's got Chima Edoga, 1 year vet minimum deal. And he's got 1 game of experience at guard. And he's only got 1 season with more than 300 snaps. So it's not like this dude has played a lot of football in the NFL. And most of it's been at tackle. Got Matt Fournier. We've talked about him. He's entering year 3. He had an awful start to year 2 and got injured. Maybe he makes a year 3 jump as a 7th round pick. Who knows? You got Josh Ball. Moved inside because he can't cut it as a tackle. Kind of his last stint at trying to stay on this team. And then you've got Austin Richards, who I love the upside, especially if he gets some of that offseason peanut butter as he develops. But I don't know if we don't know if he's ready right now, year 1, to play left guard. We don't know. We got to see. So, a lot of this is what is now and then covering your bases in case XYZ doesn't happen. So what if Austin is not ready yet? So how can I cover my bases? I think Trey Turner does that. I think you add a guy who has been around the league, who's been good in this league, and who's still got something left. I watched a couple games the other day. I watched the Colts game, thought he was good. But I said, let me go watch him against the best defense in the league last year. Trey Turner is going to be your guard here, number 53, right guard from this angle. From the other angle, he'll be on the left side of your screen. But I said, let me go watch him against the 49ers, going up against that front, against D'Amico Ryans, Buckner, these type of guys, these linebackers. I don't understand why PFF hated this game. I didn't quite get it. Look, he wasn't all-world Trey Turner. I get it. But what made me want to watch this even more is I saw PFF gave him a horrendous grade in this game. I watched every single snap. I was confused. I was confused here. I watched every single snap against the Colts. I thought he was really damn good against the Colts too. Now, they gave him a good grade in that one. But I think if you get Trey Turner next to Tyler Smith, you immediately upgrade the left side of that line. You immediately upgrade the depth on that line because now you move Edoga back to being a depth person. McClay talked about how he liked the depth of this line, and I couldn't for the life of me understand that saying. Clearly, they're using Tyler Smith as a part of that depth, but the depth is even better if Edoga is not your starter. Your depth is even better if Tyler Smith is not relied on to be your starter because Tyron Smith is your left tackle. Your depth across the entire line is even better if Tyron Smith is your swing. So I'm looking out here. I know there's a Dalton Reisner's of those types who's looking for a lot of money. We got to understand we have a money guy who is not looking to spend a lot of money, especially at this point in time. You look at Trey Turner's on Spotrac, his market value is $2.6 million. So you get a 9-year veteran who's been a Pro Bowler, who I believe still has some quality play left in him. Clearly, this would be a bridge play, right? This is not a guy who's going to stick around forever. But he kind of gives you some time to allow Austin Richards to get going on the interior if he's not ready. He allows Chima Edoga to be that backup depth, and he could potentially allow Tyron Smith to also be a swing tackle. And sometimes, man, you get a jolt. These veterans like this, they might get a jolt coming on the team with Mike Solari, the coach. They're looking to run the ball a little bit more. I mean, Turner's a fighter. So I think I'd be interested. I'd pick up the phone, see what's up. And I wouldn't assume that everything is going to just work out perfectly at the guard position, because as we've seen with Mike McCarthy, they will call a veteran in camp. I'd add him in the Rolodex, Cowboys Nation. So Trey Turner is my first guy up as one of my potential fixes here. I like it. I like Trey. I think this could work. Let me know what you guys would think about potentially adding a Trey Turner on this team. I don't see the downside. If it doesn't work out, it costs you nothing. If it works out, your line improves. This is an easy get here. Maybe they decided not to add a guy like him pre-draft because of his age. He's only 29. He'll turn 30 by the time the season begins, I believe. But I don't know. I mean, this is not a hurt guy. This is not a problem guy. I don't know. Maybe I have to dig in Washington to see if he was a locker room problem, see if he was a lazy guy. I don't know. I just watched the 2 games that I watched, and I came away impressed enough to say I think he can come in right now and be a starting left guard. Downside is he didn't play left guard. He played right guard. He's never played left guard. He's only played right guard. Mark says, is it a good scheme fit? Here's the thing. I can project to you what I believe this scheme is going to be, but I don't know exactly what this scheme is just yet. So maybe that could be the thing, right? When we had Bill Callahan, you knew exactly what we were doing. We were a stretch zone type of scheme, one cutback type of scheme. Like, you knew what we were doing. Mike Solari, I mean, you heard what Zach Martin said. Mike's resume is thick. And it's a multitude of schemes. He's done power. He's done inside zone, outside zone, a combination of the two. So Solari's kind of been everywhere. And to be honest with you, Mark, the Washington football people under he just got fired. Who was their coordinator? Was it Turner? One of the Turners? They ran a complex rushing scheme in the sense of they asked their offensive line and their H-backs or fullbacks or tight ends to do a lot of different movement. So that was a pretty complex scheme for their offensive line. So I feel like if he can handle that, maybe he can handle whatever's thrown at him here. Scott Turner. I knew it was one of those Turners. Let me see here. Solari's been coaching since the East-West Germany. Every time I think about to read a serious comment from him, it's never serious. TJ Bass says Jay Lombardi's my dark horse. Yeah, TJ Bass, we did a feature on him as well. Another undrafted free agent that plays a position where he can make a name for himself to get on his team. Let's see here. If you're was that what it was, Tom? Was he a locker room problem in Washington? I don't know. So I mean, if you're saying he is, let me know. But I'm not sure if that was the issue down there in Washington. When I had read, early on when he got signed up in Washington, he wasn't picking up things, which goes back to that scheme. That I think their scheme was a bit complex, so he wasn't quite ready according to Ron Rivera. But then he got a shot. So, but if it's a locker room thing, then that is definitely a turnoff. We don't want a locker room issue, definitely at that position. We'll get to Bostic too, Danny. We got Bostic coming up for our undrafted free agent list. What's a joke now, Trip Aces? What's going on, man? Let's see here. T-Dub says Solari over Philbin. Might be. All right, let's get to my second guy. Not as exciting, but just as important, yo. We mentioned him already before. Robbie Gould. Last year, they added, 3 different options in camp? Maybe 2. Hallelujah. And Brett Maher. You got to get you have to add a kicker. This is easy. This is a layup. This isn't even an alley hoop. This is just a drill in basketball. Uncontested layup here, man. Robbie Gould should be the first kicker you pick up the phone with and call. He could be our Deion Sanders. What, Scott? Look, Deion played a part in beating the Cowboys back in 94. Dallas signed him the next year, and he played a part winning the Super Bowl. Gould played a part in beating the Cowboys the last 2 seasons. Let's return the damn favor and get Robbie Gould to help them beat the 49ers. Now, in all seriousness, though, the Cowboys need a kicker. They need a reliable kicker. There is no more reliable kicker in the postseason than Robbie Gould right now. He hasn't missed a single kick in the postseason. Not one. 29 for 29 in regular field goals. 36 for 36 in extra points. Last year, 27 for 35. Not the greatest in regards to percentage. But he was clutch when he needed to be clutch. 2 for 2 in a 50-yard field goal. So he doesn't have the Brett Maher leg anymore. Right? Like, he doesn't have that. I'm not, and honestly, look, maybe sometimes when you have that type of leg, we saw that happen with the Cowboys in years past under Garrett. I think under the first stint with Brett Maher. I think it was Garrett. Where it was like, okay, we at the 45-yard line. Let's get conservative because we know Brett Maher can kick a 73-yard field goal. Sure, it's a gift and a curse because it's a gift. He can hit it. It's a curse because maybe you tighten up a little bit. Well, Robbie Gould ain't kicking those 63-yard field goals, you know. But I think he's a clutch guy. Obviously, a veteran, been around the league. You want to get into the playoffs with a kicker that you can count on? That's our guy. I know it's not a sexy position, but it's an important position. In the Cowboys, we saw how that went against Tampa. And then at the beginning of the Niners game, we saw how that went. And once your mental goes, man, that's tough to get back. I don't know when Maher is going to get that back. So far, Trey Turner and Robbie Gould. Mind you, I'm not saying the Cowboys got to sign all 3 of these guys. I'm saying when they get to camp and they come out of camp, or not out of camp, but get through mini camp and they go back in that month and they start listing names of, okay, we usually sign a veteran. I think these guys should be in your Rolodex. They play 2 positions that you could use some depth at. I feel you, Professor. I feel you. But they like throwing Maher out there to kick them 63-yard field goals. And to his defense, he did a pretty damn good job at it. Yeah, TC. He is the 60+ yard field goal GOAT. I ain't never seen a dude with a leg like that from that deep. Now, I remember Bueller. I remember Bueller. Bueller had a leg, and he'd go down there and tackle you, but he was so inaccurate, we had to carry 2 damn kickers on the game. Bueller birthed Nick Folk, right? Basically. I think it was. Kai says, I'm not out on Brett Maher. And then right below that, I'm very out on Brett Maher, says King Element. Am I out on Brett Maher? Yeah, I'm out on Brett Maher, man. I can't get, bro, like, you can't miss 5 field. You can't do that in the playoffs, bro. You cannot miss 5 field goals in a row straight. Extra points at that. But 5 field goals in a row. I watched, who was it? Mike Vanderjagt. For those who remember Mike Vanderjagt. Mike Vanderjagt was one of the most accurate kickers of all time. Bit of a nutcase. But I watched his mental go, and he became unreliable. All the great kickers, and Brett Maher is not great. It usually happens to him. Once that goes, it's hard to get back. It's really hard to get back, and I'm just not willing to take that chance. So I'm pretty much out on Brett Maher. I can't trust that man. Hell, they barely could trust him going into the next week. Bones was like, yeah, we're going to get back to this. We're going to think about it. Could have cut his ass as soon as the game was over. I'm sorry, bro. You got to go. You got to go. It felt like that. King Wood said Brett was getting paid to miss a chip. It felt like, hey, man, is the mob on you or something? Because this is ridiculous. That's an interesting thought, Professor O. So Professor O says here, Maher not being trusted directly caused the Pollard injury, which ended our season. That's interesting. Leave Brett alone. Hey, man. Yeah, I agree. Leave his ass alone. Let him stay on the street. Period. All right, let's get to my third one. Now, this one might be a little bit controversial here, especially given Cowboys just drafted a guy we were excited about, a guy, we just covered here. I usually talk about Deion Jones. I want to switch it up a bit. We'll talk about Rashaan Evans. Now, the reason why I said this would be a bit controversial is because we took Demo in the third round. We've got a lot of young guys that we want to step up. We want them to step up. But as I said earlier, this project is about dealing with the now and covering our bases in case things don't quite go our way, in case that curl don't quite curl for the Cowboys at the linebacker position. And Evans, that is one of the more quality guys that is still on the market, a starter, honestly. And he started off in Tennessee. They declined his fifth-year option, signed a one-year deal in Atlanta to try to prove himself. And damn it, he proved himself. He had 110 tackles last year, 46 stops, 4 pass breakups, 6 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. And to boot, he was their leader on that defense. He was their quarterback, their green dot, their communicator, essentially their LVE, right? If Rashaan Evans is there, he's putting everybody in position. He's calling the plays. He's getting everybody where they need to be. The Cowboys got LVE for that. But we know about LVE. And this brings me to that room, which is full of hope. Hope is fun. But it can be scary, man. Demo. We love Demo. Fun project. As of right now, I doubt he's a trustable one to get significant snaps barring injury. I'm just going to go there right now. Right now. Now, he go out there, he start balling that camp, he start balling the preseason, he balls when he gets a shot. Awesome. But I'm still leaning towards this. This is about trust for this coaching staff. Jabril Cox, Devin Harper, essentially unknowns who they've got to fight and hope that, we hope that they take the next step. But these aren't guys at this point where you're comfortable saying, oh, yeah, man, our starters. I got to worry about the room. We don't know. I know how I feel about Damone Clark. He's the incumbent starter. He's going to start next to LVE. I believe in him a ton. I do. But he's still very young in his career too. But Clark is probably the guy I'm most comfortable with in the entire room. And that's with LVE, who we know is LVE. Throughout his career, he's going to get nicked up, and it's either going to affect how he plays or he's going to miss time. And we saw the importance when LVE went down from a leadership standpoint, from a veteran standpoint, experience standpoint. Dallas does not have that in that room. Think about that for a second. LVE is your lone experienced guy in that room. Nobody else has more, not even more. Nobody else has a year of playing experience. I'm talking about on the field. Go add up the games. I bet you if you added up all the games, they don't even equal to a full season. That's crazy. Now think about it. I'm talking this out loud. LVE and then everybody else, if you combine their games played, probably don't add up to a full season. And I'm not talking about, oh, he was active. I'm talking about touched grass outside. I don't know that I'm really willing to just assume the linebacker room is all right because we got a lot of young guys we like. So if they get through minicamp, they get through rookie minicamp, they get to that dead period, and they're like, we got to add a linebacker to our Rolodex in case it doesn't work out for us in training camp, a la Anthony Barr last year. I think Rashaan Evans can be a much better Anthony Barr type. Anthony Barr, back end of his career, 31 or whatever years old. Rashaan Evans is still very much in the prime of his career, just turned 27. Didn't get a big contract in free agency. Didn't get his 5th year picked up. So he still got something to prove. And I know he's probably thinking about going back to Atlanta, but boy, what better defense to come and prove yourself than playing with Micah Parsons, and playing with Mozzie and Hankins in front of you, and playing with that line and Dan Quinn. And this secondary. I'll be trying to woo Rashaan Evans to come here for sure. Now, maybe they go into the situation and say, well, we believe in our young guys. We're going to roll with our young guys through hell or high water. Cool. Let's see what they got in minicamp. Let's see what they got to start. But the minute that they sense that they're not comfortable, I'm picking up that phone. I'm giving Rashaan Evans a call. The problem you might have, Cowboys Nation, though, is that this guy's a starter, man. He's got 67 starts in his career. He's been starting for the last 4 seasons. Would you be able to tell him, hey, man, you come here, you're going to compete with Clark and whatnot, which he potentially could beat out Clark. I don't even know if that's out the question. Like, this is a good player. Or they say, hey, we believe in Clark. He's our guy. You come here, you'll be a role player. That could be a drawback for him. That could be a situation where he says, nah, I want to go somewhere and I'm going to start. But if you could sway him and let him know you'll come here and compete, then I think you have to do it at the start of camp. One of the things that annoyed me about the bar edition last year, which I was happy for because we needed some depth in that room, was how late it was. It was, man, now he can't come in here and truly compete and get integrated early. We kind of got to, he's going to have to get his sea legs the first 3 weeks of the season. So, you know, if they look at this position as a position they really truly want to add a guy to compete, don't wait. Don't wait till, all right, yeah, Demo is a project, you know, so he's a special teams guy and he's a project that we're going to need him to develop. It's going to take a couple months or potentially the season. Don't wait to see that Jabril Cox and Devin Harper are special teams, you know, reserve guys. Don't wait for an LVE injury or a Clark injury. Cover your bases now. Crazy thing is, since the Cowboys have been making the Cooks type trades, the Gilmore trades, and been solid in the offseason, we haven't really had to be and moan about anything. But if you go back to our being and moaning, a lot of it was about this team being reactive, not proactive. How many times last year, throughout camp, prior to Tyron Smith going down, did we say, you need to get a swing tackle? You need to get a swing tackle. Josh Ball's getting whooped out there. Matt Walesko's not participating. You need to get... breaking news. Tyron Smith injured a week before the season. Oh, now we go get the swing tackle. Okay. How many times we're saying you need to get some linebacker depth? You need to get some linebacker depth. Oh, Jabril Cox is not quite ready from his injury. You know, Devin Harper is not quite ready as a 6th-round pick. Go figure. Damone Clark obviously is not ready with his neck. Breaking news: the Cowboys signed Anthony Barr 2 weeks before the season. You know what I mean? Like, don't be reactive. Be proactive. Get ahead of this. And these are just 3 names. I'm not saying you got to sign all 3. I'm not even saying they have to sign one of these dudes. There's other options out there. But when I was looking, I think these guys fit. They're veterans. They're productive. They still got juice left. And in Rashaan Evans' case, he's in the prime of his career. So be proactive. And if you're worried about a progress stopper, the only one that I would really say you can call that would be Rashaan Evans. But Rashaan Evans is not, it's not Anthony Barr. You could potentially hit on something there. And if you hit on something, he's 27. So if you're worried about progress stopping a Jabril Cox or a Damone Clark or Devin Harper, what if he's better than them? Which he is better than them technically, if we're being honest, right now. Who's complaining then? No one. Trey Turner, give me a break. There is no progress stopping at that position. I'm not hearing it. If you want to argue about it, you can call in. You can argue with me about it. But whose progress is he stopping? Matt Forniak? He ain't stopping no Matt Forniak. Austin Richards, you could live with Austin Richards having a year where he's developing. There's no problem with that. He's a 5th round pick. I'm not expecting Austin Richards to come in here and just blow it out the park, especially when it comes to guard position, because the strength aspect is something he's going to have to work on. But he has a lot there. I'm not worried about Trey Turner progress stopping Austin Richards. Chima Doja, come on. So I don't even necessarily see progress stoppers here. I see guys that come in here and help this Cowboys team out and round out this roster. Let's see what we got here. Professor O says, I'd be happy with all 3. Well, I'd be ecstatic, brother. I tried, when I did this project, I didn't try to do too much. I'd sign them all. I'm with you. I'd sign all 3 of these dudes. Wouldn't even think twice about it. But I know the Cowboys, that's not really how they operate. So I narrowed it down to, hey, look, one of these guys helps your team. Come on, King. King said, a progress stopper is Tyron Smith. Come on. Let's see here. T-Dub is talking about, I think you mean Rashaan Evans being an LVE replacement. I mean, look, I get we don't know Rashaan Evans. When I say we, I mean Dan Quinn, those guys don't know Rashaan Evans outside of the research that they do, and they have an attachment to LVE. But remember, during the free agency, I said, look, I give LVE kudos. I believe he was an important piece to this defense last year, given the depth. But I think you can upgrade. I think Rashaan Evans would have been an upgrade. And he's still out in the market, so maybe no one else agrees with that. The NFL would have you. But they, again, LVE is signed back y'all for $2 million. So it ain't like LVE is just some amazing player the league thought of. He's signed $2 million. Rashaan Evans is probably going to get the same contract. Yeah, but that's neither here nor there. I don't know if he'd be an LVE replacement. Maybe he'd play with an LVE. But if he balls out, if he gets hurt, Wally Pipp is real. Mark says they got to get a kicker for sure. For sure. And T-Dub says we got to stop overvaluing our guys. B Bird, we used to have a lot of conversations about that with B Bird over the years, where as Cowboy fans, do we tend to do that? I'm sure all fans do that in general. But the more and more I do this and cover the team professionally, I try to remove myself from doing just that. And I will tell y'all when I do. I will tell y'all, hey, my bias is kicking in. I'm letting y'all know right now. I'm fighting my biases with this said player. But I try to be more objective than I've ever been. I'm becoming more objective with this team than I've ever been over the years. Because when you're covering them the way you're covering them, in order to be real, I think you do have to remove some of the emotions, or at least admit, hey, I got emotions attached to this. Now let's talk about it aside from the emotions.
Super chat.
King Element said, dropped super chat and said, we're an LVE injury away from potentially having Jabril Cox and Harper and Overshown as our duo at linebacker. Evans is more important than people realize. Don't forget Clark. But I get what you mean. I agree with you. I think that Evans, I think linebacker, you add a guy like Evans, it might not have to be Evans, is very much so more important than we believe. And I didn't even realize this until I was talking to y'all about it, man. Outside of LVE, the experience factor is nil. There's very minimal experience, and it's Damone Clark. You know what? 8 games, and I love that he got that experience. But again, it's paper thin. It's a game that they're playing with a lot of fire with at that position, and it's a position that deals with car crashes a lot. It's a position that is dinged up historically, with their one guy with experience who has been dinged up historically. So I really do think they need to add to that room. What I don't want to do is I don't want to force Demo out there and he gets Damone Clark in the sense of, hey, I'm doing well with these veterans. Now I'm the guy out here. Things can get a bit confusing here. And I don't think he's as molded from a linebacker standpoint as Damone Clark was coming into the league. So, and the league is going to be tougher. So I don't want to thwart his growth because injury happened. If that makes sense. See, Nick says rather have them over Luke. Yeah, I got what you meant, King. I got what you meant. I believe in Clark as well. Clark is my guy. He's the one guy that I actually, again, I'm the most comfortable. That's the word I wanted to use. I'm the most comfortable with because I just think this kid's got it. I think he's got the work ethic. He's obviously got the skill. He's got the 1-2 determination. I feel good about Clark. But again, it's still a room that's thin for the most part. I'll take a quick little break before we get up out of here. Talk about our friends over at Boston Scientific. ED can affect your self-esteem, impact your most important relationships. If you tried the pills, if you've tried even injections, whatever, and you haven't found a solution, there is hope. Take a free online assessment that you can share with your doctor. Click the ad in the description to learn more. There's a permanent, satisfying solution to treat ED. Visit edcure.org, get the facts, find a urologist who can offer treatment options when others do not work. Again, that's edcure.org. Sponsored by Boston Scientific. It ain't hard, but you can be.
You're listening to A to Z Sports.
Do it live!
At some point, hoping to broadcast
In front of the millions.
of Cowboys fans to bring you the real. But for now, strap up and here's your host, Skywalker Steele.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
We'll do it live.
There's no hope with dope. Hilarious. Hey, yo, Professor O's story. Who was it last year? Shout out to Story Jackson, by the way. Was it Marv? I think Marv was one of them. There was a handful of people that was like, man, Story Jackson. So we just gotta see, you know, we just gotta see with the undrafted guys, with these young guys in general. But man, he was actually, you know, the Denver game was probably his best game in the preseason. Was Story Jackson's best game. But I think he's now with Cleveland. Hasn't really stuck around the league. I think he went to Denver. Just didn't really catch on. So it wasn't Dallas who didn't believe in the kid. So far as most of the league. But yeah, I remember Story Jackson. Yeah. That's why when we cover these guys, or at least I do, talk about what they are coming out of college, their accomplishments, the potential, where they would fit on this roster. But I ain't claiming and stamping many of these dudes. If you've been paying attention for real, the one dude that I really been stamping is Mozzie. I can't see Mozzie not working out, man. I can't see Mozzie not working out. Kid is fantastic. Hence, first round pick. Says Story's built to be a menace. Had a great name, by the way. But it ain't there. Not yet. Not yet. Oh, TJ Vasher, bro. TJ Vasher, because he's like 6'6", and he would make an amazing catch from time to time. But in between all of that, it's like, oh, this dude can't separate. This dude can't catch in contested areas from a slant standpoint. He really wasn't doing much of anything else. But he make a fantastic highlight. 100%. And if you wanted to get some views, you just take the TJ Vasher highlight, do a little razzle dazzle, put that thing on TikTok or something, and 100 million views. 100 million views. But TJ Vasher, just from a receiver standpoint, he needed to go nuclear in camp, as me and Voss like to say, and he didn't. He just has some highlights. Appreciate you, Brandon. TJ Vag. Come on, Rolo. Who else last year? You know what? Maybe we'll do that one day. We'll do a comparison of these undrafted guys. What we really want, though, right? We really want the next Cole Beasley. We really want the Miles Austin. We want I would say Tony, but we ain't gonna go that damn far. But we kind of want one of those. A guy who, they might not turn into a superstar, but they were significant, parts of this team, and it might have not been right away, right? If you want to go super lower level and more recent, Hendershot makes the team tight. You don't want the Dennis Houston, right? He takes somebody's roster spot and then they cut him 2 weeks later. You don't want Ryan Nall. But he wasn't undrafted. He was just I did almost say that, Roller. You said Vasher wasn't that bad, and I didn't even know he was playing in the XFL. Good for him, man. Good for him. Danny Cole, who was a drafted player, by the way, out of Virginia. I think 5th round pick, Caustic. Danny Cole wasn't undrafted, but that didn't work out. Rico also drafted. I'm talking about more the undrafted guys. I think Bo was undrafted, or Bo Scandrick. Oh, Isaac Taylor Stewart, Professor O. Yeah, 9 deep was definitely Isaac Taylor Stewart is cornerback 2 on his team. Isaac Taylor Stewart wasn't cornerback 22 on the team. Yeah, he's another one. Miles Austin was the one, because Miles Austin started off, y'all remember, I think he wore like 16, something like that. And his coming out party from a just a player standpoint, not necessarily a receiver standpoint, was the playoff game against Seattle. He ran that kick return back for a touchdown, and he continued to develop. And then boom, he got a shot in 09, and or was it 09? 06, I'm sorry. Got a shot in 06, and it just went through the roof. Went through the roof, man. But yeah, I'm more so looking Virginia Tech, not Virginia, but Virginia Tech for Cole, Danny Cole. I'm more so looking for Cole Beasley, Miles Austin. I don't get too greedy and go Tony Romo level. But if I can get me one of them out of this as an undrafted, come on, man, I'm extremely happy. Matt Johnson, the unicorn, also drafted. 208. Somebody snuck up in here. What's good?
What's good, fam? I was going to say I'd have to go with Miles Austin as well, bro. When he came out against Kansas City, he acted a fool.
Didn't he? Miles Austin had this unique ability to catch like a slant or a dig or something and get low because he had them big thighs. He'd get low and do this spin, and it was gone. He's just a strong dude after the catch.
Bro, I feel like that dude played some kind of linebacker in his life. He just had that lower body strength that most these receivers envy today. I haven't tapped in with you lately, man. I've been had a surgery that I had to deal with. But I feel like with Dallas going forward, I feel like they addressed pretty much almost every need outside that running back room, man. Outside that running back room. Deuce Vaughn was a good pickup. I really like his addition to that room. But I feel like they need one more grinder in there. I don't think Rojo is it. I really don't. I like the signing, but I don't think he makes the 53 at the end of the day. Not when you draft a Deuce Vaughn that can pretty much, I mean, even at his size, do some of the Rojo things except pass pro.
I'm curious. And you said they addressed everything, but did they address guard to you?
Well, touche.
Well, because I was going to say, if you think they addressed guard, how do you think they didn't address running back with Rojo? Because I mean, Rojo, Edoja, Awesome, Deuce Vaughn, they technically did the same things. Signed a veteran guy at the positions and drafted a guy late in the draft. They did the same things at those positions. It's fair if you don't believe in Ronald Jones, but they technically addressed it. They just didn't sign maybe a guy that you like. Who out there would you like a Hunt, Fournette? Is it somebody like that?
No, it ain't no Fournette for sure. For Lenny, playoff Lenny's done. I feel like Kareem he's in the same place that they view Zeke at that age group. So I mean, for me, it would have to be someone that has some bones in the game. And like I said, I know Ronald Jones does, but he just hasn't done it at a how do I say it, at a durable level. Like he hasn't made it through a full season the last 2 seasons. I mean, and it's fair to say that he was pretty much just a practice squad player last year.
So you're worried about Ronald Jones holding up from a durability standpoint?
Not just that. I'm more worried about if Tony goes down,
right.
Who do you have behind Tony that you have faith in, man?
Well, if you wanted to sign a running back that's a workhorse back, you probably re-sign a Zeke or a Kareem Hunt or somebody like that. I don't think they're in the business of workhorse backs anymore. I don't think that's the case. I think whoever, even with Tony Pollard is going to be their lead back, but Tony Pollard ain't going to carry the ball 20, 25 times a game. He might get 20 touches.
What if you say you call it, I haul it?
Right, you call it, I haul it. Exactly. But I don't think they're in the business of the old versions of, when they had Zeke touching it 25 to 28 times. Like, that ain't happening no more. I think they're going to be in a committee approach. I think if TP were to go down, maybe I'm a bit, again, I'll admit right now, maybe some biases here because I'm a fan of little dude Deuce Vaughn. I'm just really a fan of him. But I feel like Deuce Vaughn, Rojo, Malik, we're talking about the running back position. I don't want to diminish it, but I just watched two teams in the Super Bowl with running backs like Boston Scott and the 7th rounder and Jerick McKinnon, who've been all over the league. So I think
they didn't have Kellen Moore. I'm sorry, they didn't have Kellen Moore.
We don't got Kellen Moore either. So what I'm basically trying to say is, you can do what you want to do with the room. I would love to upgrade it, right? Like, look, we can go add all the talent, but it's going to be more about scheme and blocking, I think, moving forward, than it's going to be about the actual player like it was with
So
Zeke.
I'm gonna ask you this. So with Shotty being the offensive coordinator and with McCarthy clearly making this statement that he wants to run the ball, I heard you just say that we're out of the business of handing that ball off 20 to 25 times to one person.
Yes.
Do you see us handing the ball off 20 to 25 times to the committee, though?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, they did that last year. That 20 times is not even that much when you talk about
not consistently.
When you talk about from a collective standpoint, that's pretty standard. If you're running the ball less than 18, 19, 20 times, boy, you throwing the ball a whole hell of a lot.
You lose the game.
Yeah. So
it's evident.
Yeah,
it's evident in last season.
I think they'll run the ball.
Was getting at.
I think they'll run. But I think what McCarthy was getting at is being mistaken here. I don't think McCarthy is saying they're going to run the ball 45 times, 35. I don't know about that. I think McCarthy is talking about situationally. I think McCarthy was pissed the hell off at Kellen Moore in situational football. There was times throughout the season where it was like, Kellen, all right, man, you did your razzle dazzle, run the damn ball. Okay, Kellen, we backed up here, man. You just got your quarterback sacked. Okay, so you want to drop back again with no extra pressure or no extra protection? No, run the damn ball or do an equivalent of a run. A screen. A swing pass, something to assist your damn team. Instead, Kellen goes sack first down, sack second down. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna drop back again, sack, interception.
Four wide, spread formation.
Yeah, 2nd and 2, 2nd and goddamn 2. Our best player goes out, or second best player, whatever you want to call it, as a skill position weapon, goes out, spread formation, throw the ball. Shit like that. Like, I feel like McCarthy is saying situationally, man, we got to protect our team. We got to protect our defense and protect ourselves from our damn selves.
Exactly. And that's the only reason I asked, do you see us using I mean, I know you said we're not going to hand it off to Pollard 20, 25 times, but to our committee, if we can run the ball 25 to 30 times, we typically control and win a game. I mean, just go back to that Jacksonville game, man. That game just bothers me still. The season's over with. That game just still bothers me because we were up 21 points and
17 points.
I don't know how we lose that game. I don't know how we lost that. But hey, I appreciate you taking my call on the whim like that, man. Much love to you and Botch. I'll be tuned in later, brother.
Salute. Appreciate you, dog. Good call.
Thank you.
Yeah. Old Mike had enough of Kellen. He had enough of Kellen situationally. Now the media will come out here and tell you, man, I got a take about a certain somebody in the media that I can't really say on air. But the media will come out and they'll tell you, oh, Kellen wanted to Kellen wanted to leave. I bet you he did. because McCarthy was tired of his shit. You know, and McCarthy was probably calling his ass out behind scenes, but he knew good damn well he had the Joneses in his pocket. Y'all, the media can try to fool me all they want with this whole, it was a more of a him thing than, can't fool me, man. The proof is in the damn pudding. Just go listen to your coach talk. Your coach all but told you, I would do things this way. We got to go back and talk. We got to be smart. This dude was calling him out publicly in the most respectful way. Hey, look, McCarthy was calling this young man out in the most respectful way possible. And y'all want to tell me, well, Kellen decided to leave. Kellen ain't decide to leave. Mike McCarthy said, I'm done with you. I'm going to do this my way. Oh, you see how Mike McCarthy just lit up when he talked about, I'm having the most fun I've had since I've been here because now I'm in these game planning rooms. Now I'm drawing up the plays with my guys. And then the shots, yeah, little shots, but they pow, pow, little shots. Yeah, all right, man. Look, y'all can try to spin this any way you want to because they want to protect old boy for whatever reason. I don't know why they want to protect old boy, but real football people are watching this shit every week. We're showing you things and we're saying, what are we doing? You know, there's just basic stuff you do as a play caller that we're not operating in. So I don't care if McCarthy's going to bring me razzle dazzle. I truly don't. But I know McCarthy as a play caller has done things to be a Super Bowl winning head coach and to get to the NFC Championship game many a times. Now, did that fizzle out? Sure, it fizzled out. Ain't gonna lie about that. Bring in Schottenheimer, bring in McCarthy, let DQ do his thing over there. Ball, not want to use that word. Don't want to use that word. Simplify this thing in the sense where my guys can play faster without thinking so much, I think will help this team immensely. Because you still got the horses. You still got Cooks. You still got Lamb. You still got Pollard. You still got Dak. You added more weapons. You know, Deuce Vaughn. Your tight end room might not be as proven, but it's got a ton of talent. You know, Jake Ferguson, Schoonmaker, Hendershot. There's some talented dudes. This offense is still, from a talent standpoint, like that, in my opinion. It's gonna be about scheme. And I'm gonna get off my little rant there that it turned into that. But I just get put off, man, with some of the local media around here protecting certain peoples because they got they have the platform, you know, and they have, look, everybody got agendas, everybody got biases. Would rather them just come out and say it. Like I told y'all, I'll come out and say it. I'm biased to this. I'll say it. I ain't biased to no damn coaches. None of these hell, the other day I called out Dan Quinn. You know, so I'll leave it at that. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that, and it ain't him. I don't even know if he's the one, Oscar and those dropping his name, if he's the one that's, you know, trying to protect, you know, the smartest guy in the room's feelings, then he's part of the problem too. But it ain't him. Somebody they've been lying to all offseason. We're gonna leave it at that. We're gonna leave it at that because y'all sitting here trying to make it into a thing. Look, I respect this person. I just think they've got a certain job to do for the Joneses. Good stuff today. Make sure I ain't missing no super chats though before I get out of here. I don't want on a whole ass rant that has nothing to do about this show, but it bugs me. All right, we good. We good on the super chats. If you enjoyed the show, man, please hit the like button. If you're new here and you want to figure out how to get involved from a bomb squad standpoint, meaning commenting in the chats or the ability to super chat, you got to subscribe. Got to be a subscriber. Later on, I'll be back on the volume, Vosh Lombardi live. And then Mo will be back on for A to Z Sports prime time. Rolo said, I can't leave. Got to do work. No Oscar. No. I don't talk about him either. He's funny though. Nah, y'all going crazy in the chat, man. Y'all going crazy. Y'all wow. But all right, look. Good stuff today. Turn this off and get ready to move forward. I'll probably drop a video later on. I will give you an update. Friday, I won't be here, but tomorrow we'll pick up the Rating the Draft series. I'm actually going to mix this thing up. We're not going to follow the line. I'm going to jump a draft pick or two, and we'll talk about Deuce Vaughn tomorrow. And then Thursday, debating on if I want to do the RTD series or talk about some roster or some rookie battles for next week or for this weekend. So we're kind of up in the air on what we're doing for the rest of the week, but I know tomorrow we're going to talk about Deuce Vaughn and we're going to rate him. That will be fun. Can't wait for that one. He is definitely my pet cat or guy I'm rooting for, and there is a little bias there because, hey, man, our vertically challenged people, there's a place for us everywhere, man. So I got to support my guy. But all right, I'm going to get up out of here. Yes, Jay, they do. You know? Hey, good for them, you know. To each its own. I ain't gonna come on here and issue another man. But I'm good. Out of here. Love y'all. Peace.
Bomb Squad!